Always good to talk to Dave Rubin, even under the most difficult of circumstances. You can find the Rubin Report on Rumble and lots of other social media platforms. Dave, what a week. Unbelievable. As we speak, Israeli forces still going house to house to see the extent of the horror that was put on them by Hamas a couple of days ago. The Gaza Strip completely cut off right now. It is horror in all directions.
Yeah, I mean, look, Paul, I love coming on the show with you every week because we usually joke about stuff and do our 90s references and talk about Seinfeld. But we are witnessing what is at the very least an attempted second Holocaust. Jews went through this sort of thing well before Israel, right? There were pogroms throughout Europe where people would enter Jewish homes and kill these people only because they were Jewish. That is exactly what is happening here. This has nothing to do with a territorial dispute. The state of Israel, the modern state of Israel, which is 75 years old, was born out of the end of the British mandate of Palestine, but there were no people known as Palestinians. There were Arabs that lived in Palestine, and there were Christians, and there were Jews. Israel is the land of Judea and Samaria. That's the real name of the West Bank. That's where Jesus of Nazareth lived. Some people might have heard of that guy. The entire history, if you were to look at the story of Hanukkah, that whether you're Jewish or not, everyone associates with Christmas time. It's the story of the Jews defending their land in the hills of Judea and Samaria. These people do not want any Jews there, period. There is no overture that Israel could make. They have made many. The quote-unquote Palestinians have been offered a state 5 times, at least in the modern years, and rejected it every single time. I see an awful lot of hack reporters who don't understand anything about history or any fact on the ground who are saying, oh, if only this 75-year-old occupation would end. Oh, I suppose they're suddenly calling for the return of the British Empire. We could go a little further back. Forget about the Brits. How about we bring in the Ottomans again? It's absolute abject insanity, and the level of destruction, of mayhem. They're actually, as I am sure you have said, and many other people on Sky, and as I've said repeatedly over the last few days, I talk for a living, and there are not words to describe what has gone on here. Beheading of children, raping women in front of their dead husbands' bodies. It is absolutely unimaginable. And from where I sit, Israel has absolutely every right. And it's not just a right, it has an absolute duty to its citizens. And I would actually argue even further to the entire Western world to end Hamas. And then the world is going to have to figure out about the tentacles related to Iran and everything else. But, when I watch these sort of liberal elites, or it's kind of coming, there aren't that many. I'm glad to say, the world has seen the images are so horrific that even the media that usually goes after Israel is pausing at the moment, because women like AOC and Ilhan Omar from our Hamas caucus here in the United States, even they've been somewhat tempered because it's hard to defend the beheading of children. But Israel has every right to do whatever it wants right now. You have a duty to your citizens to protect those people, and no other nation. Just one other thing real quick. If a bomb from Toronto landed in Detroit, America would bomb Mexico. So everyone has a right to do what they see fit to defend their citizens. And, when they said never again after the Holocaust, I think they meant it.
No, 100%. Now, let's take sort of a pause and a slight step back here, because there is horror that exists every day, but the relentlessness of what has happened in the past few days, you can tell has shaken people the world over. And something that's very different than what we first started to see in Vietnam, what we started to see a lot more of in the early days of terrorist behaviour in the early 2000s, is just the sheer amount of video, the sheer amount of raw video. Now, the news obviously shows us a certain level of sanitisation because, understandably, normal people going about their lives, there's only so much that they can or want to take in. But as people that are very connected to the internet like you and I and most people watching right now, the stuff people have been seeing in the past couple of days, I'm not arguing against its existence. I'm just saying let's pause for a second to say, my God, what people have been looking at and seeing in the comfort of Florida or Australia has been unbelievable. What, for want of a better term, smartphones and modern technology can show us that no reporter can.
You know, it's a really strange thing that we're all going through right now. There is, as I said, words do not describe it. There's no way you nor I nor anyone can watching. I mean, babies burned alive and beheaded, like stuff that is just medieval. These are barbarians, and they deserve everything that's coming to them. But there's a bit of a catch-22 here with the internet. We need to be witness to this. You know, when the Jews were going to the gas chambers in Europe and 6 million Jews perished. People didn't believe it, and the Nazis at least had the temerity to not want the images to get out. You know, they used to, when we see images of Auschwitz and places like that, it's because the Nazis were documenting it for themselves. They weren't sending it out to the world. Hamas wants everybody to see this. They want to see wanton slaughter of innocent children. They want to see literally people raping women in front of their children. That's what they want. And if anyone in Australia or in the UK or in France or in the United States or anywhere else, if you think they're going to stop if they take out those Jews in the Middle East, you are crazy. They will gladly import this here. You think they're going to wipe out the Jews? So, okay, we get a second Holocaust and 8 million more Jews are dead. You think they're going to go, oh, we did it, guys. We got rid of the Jews. And the Palestinians, who none of us really care about because we've done awful things to them too, well, that we're good. We're sending everything. We're going home. No, of course not. It will be the beginning of everything. So unfortunately, Israel is the tip of the spear in fighting back this thing. And I don't even know what else to say.